Well, the heroes make the story, the villains make the heroes. And oh boy, in this season finale do we have some villains, and some really awesome ways they go out. But for now, let's get started. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing the season finale of Legends of Tomorrow, episode 17, Aruba. And can I just say, I think I'd rather be in Aruba than where they are. This whole season has been about time travel and about speedsters, and like I said in The Flash, right now he's having time travel problems too. So one of the problems that I have with these series that are connected, and all series that are connected have this problem eventually, wouldn't it just make sense for Barry to be like, hey, I'm going to call the time travel experts. And then as soon as he calls them, then be like, oh my god, thank god you called. We have a speedster problem. Oh well, let's write that off and get this started. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. And this week we're working on time cop rules. Same matter can't exist in the same place at the same time. Because when you interact with yourself, bad things happen. And time quakes. Of course, I think we've seen people interact in the same thing before, haven't we? Barry's mom. Alright, anyway. So, consistency isn't exactly the show's strong point, or this universe's strong point, to be honest. But we've got a pretty good episode here, one where Thrawn actually gets to show us exactly how evil it is to be a speedster that's a bad guy, ripping people's hearts out, making huge monstrosities of Paradox when he goes and recruits an army of himself. I will say part of me wishes that we had seen a Harrison Wells in there. In my own personal canon, at least some of those blurs were. But okay, I want everyone to remember this. Not only do they break their own rules, but they do so with both the good guys and the bad guys. And that's fine. I'd like to also point out that I was kind of harsh on Grimm this week because they pulled the same stunt, kill a bunch of people, but poofta, they're all alive by the end of the episode. The difference here is I expect time travel. I expect that when we're dealing with the Spear of Destiny, we're going to see reality be rewritten and all the rules change. Which almost brings me to the end of the episode. But I just want to backtrack first for a couple of great scenes I want to talk about. Professor Stein watching his partner die and having to emote mostly just with some quick face acting. Heatwave with the whole "if you hug me, I'm going to kill you" line right after having to put down his best friend. And then the entire love thing between Amaya and Nate actually worked out really well this episode. I especially liked the idea of giving advice back to yourself. Don't be a douche, just tell her how you feel. I bet everyone wishes they could go back and change something like that. Meanwhile, White Canary working with White Canary was pretty awesome. Although I still think that the episode really goes to Nate with his "don't be a douche, bro." Of course, Rip Hunter is the one that explains the time rules, but at the same time is the one responsible for breaking them. And I kind of like that. I also like the fact that no one really thought of the idea of going back to grab additional help, not even the Atom. Because again, there's part of me that just says this was a season screaming to be a crossover with The Flash. Let's also remember the first time we saw Gideon was in that time vault, and she said Barry Allen designed her, so I'm still hoping for some resolution to that plot hook. But at the end, the Zoom death was probably one of those things that I sit there and I go, because we've already seen him be removed from the time stream, we already knew there were multiple of him there, we already knew that there were all sorts of things messed up, plus he held the spear at some point of time, is enough for me to say that at least it's not the Flash villain dying off Flash show. Because let's be honest, that's a Flash villain that can totally come back anytime he wants. But in the absolute end, it's the spear that gets to rewrite reality. And who gets to use it? None other than Miss Lance, our White Canary. And the one person we all thought couldn't use it, especially her. But I knew she was wrong, because as much as there's a lot of darkness in her, there's a lot of light too. Sarah and Laurel needed to discuss and figure out exactly what my whole nature versus nurture memory episode was about. At the end of the day, our scars are ours because we earn them. Our memories are ours. If we were different people, everything would be different. You can't just go back in time and change one thing, because those mistakes helped shape who you are today, no matter how much you wish you didn't make them. They're you. And would you be willing to give up a son or daughter just because the relationship that created them was bad? Would you be willing to give up everything that you are now just to save the life of someone who died doing what they chose to do. It's a pretty heart-wrenching thought process. I can think of 100 ways I'd try to break those rules. I'd tell the spear to bring her back now, not stop her death. That way nothing changed. Or I'd give myself the ability to resurrect someone later on in some way. And at the end of the day, I'd screw myself because she figured it out. The spear was too powerful. It had to be destroyed. And the only way to destroy it wasn't the blood of Christ. It was itself, rewriting reality so that it never had the power to change reality again. But legends never die. They just fade away. Great Goonies quote. Now, of course, there's still that setup for the next year, Season 3. And I'm partially hoping that we get a slight change-up of cast like we did this year. I was a little disappointed, though. I was kind of hoping that this year's season finale was going to be using that spear in such a way as to change so that the JSA could show up in modern-day stories. Instead, we got Time is Broken, which I guess still would allow for such a thing. However, I wonder how that's going to handle with crossovers. Oh well. Either way, I would have much preferred Aruba myself than LA. But LA is kind of cool, when you're not being chased by T-Rexes. But then I have a question for everyone. It's one I asked a while ago when I was doing Timeless reviews. If you had to go back in time and convince yourself that you were you, what would you say to yourself? What would you do to prove to you that you were you and not someone impostoring you? And a second question. Do you think when Flash comes back they're going to follow these rules and start having time quakes and time storms because Barry messes with the time stream? My money's on no. But we've reached the end of the season, and it's time for me to ask you to like and share this channel and subscribe to it so that we can build a community and talk all about all these comic books and other stories as we explore what it means to get to the heart of the stories we tell. Thanks for watching, and don't worry, I will put up more videos about superheroes and legends as they come up. For now, catch me back here when Supergirl and Flash and Arrow come back at the end of the month.